value it in a way that it goes to agriculture. One of the issues with desalinization from a Colorado River point of view, because we have been looking at that with the federal government and the 7 states and the country of Mexico, because Mexico can also use desalinization to meet some of their water supply needs. One of the issues is if first you have all the environmental issues from accompanying desalinization, but you can use solar power to offset some of those issues, and certainly to offset the energy requirements, because solar power or desal is very energy intensive, and using renewable resources would be a great way to cut down on some of the environmental impacts. But remember, water from an environmental point of view likes to move downstream. If you use desal to meet water supply needs so that the other states can use more water upstream, you could have some pretty intensive environmental impacts by not pulling that water down all the way down to California. What we see in the Cienega declara in Mexico by not pulling more water down. My answer really is that it's all so connected, and anything you do will have another impact. And I like Chuck's response of what we need to do is look for those minimal impacts. So we have to do something. How do we find what has the least impact, the best impact? We know birds are going to die. Let's pick the course that's going to kill the least number of birds, and not get hung up on the fact that we can't do anything. But the Colorado River questions have a lot of law in 7 states and 2 countries and 2 federal governments involved, so they tend to be rather complicated.
Just on the topic of using solar energy for desal, so on the coastal California, there are some communities that are having seasonal or drought water shortages and are starting to put in some municipal desal systems, and they're typically electric-driven RO systems. In places in the Middle East where with these big water shortages, but there's deserts that go right up to the edge of salt water, there are looking at large thermal-based solar desal where you use a flash-based system. Those are not practical in the U.S. because we don't have areas of high DNI right up against the ocean. So if one did want to begin to go into desalinization on the coast in a large way, you wanted to do it with clean energy, I think the best way to do it would be to make wind or solar or geothermal power inland where there's a good resource, and then move the power via transmission to drive an RO-based desal system. I haven't done detailed assessments, but that's the direction I think it would go. But again, I think that because it's a complex set of issues you're dealing with now. There's transmission, what are the downstream effects, and all that stuff. So I think it would be something you'd evolve to slowly over time.
I think my sort of tend, if I were in on conversations on this, would be, I'm not sure I want people's drinking supply for them to feel dependent upon desalination for drinking supply, that if energy gets extremely expensive or something happens to the energy resource, that now your water resource is also exposed. So I would tend to want to find other ways to conserve the water, or at least coupling renewable energy to make fresh water if you have another way to save fresh water. I would like to try to find a way to use the renewable electricity for electricity and the water for water, and maybe try to avoid that decoupling. It doesn't seem like if you're looking 40 years down the road, you're like, all right, now I have 10% of my water supply dependent upon cheap energy. Is that a scenario you want to?
So let me give you the other, just really quickly, in Australia, where they've lost 50 to 60% of their water supply, every single city has a desal plant, and their water supply problems became so acute that their desal plant went in 18 months. It would never happen in the United States because of our NEPA and environmental processes. But they tried to do them as environmentally sound as possible using solar and wind as offsets for energy. But you look at,
Israel too. You can look at Israel and say, that is almost national policy. But they've got that far down the road in terms of running out of options. The question is, do you want to avoid that?
Okay, yeah.
How long can you avoid it?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's so good to have so many intelligent minds at the table. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Great.